There's this old saying that says that the fool thinks he's a wise man and the wise man thinks that he's a fool. And the reason that this is true is because if you are somebody that is a fool, you're somebody that is arrogant, ignorant, and the worst thing that you can be when you're arrogant and ignorant is somebody that doesn't realize that he is arrogant or ignorant. People that go around talking about how smart they are, people going around talking about how empathetic they are, how good they are, how good of a person they are, usually end up being the shittiest people you'll ever meet. And it's because the mere thought that you could have something wrong with you is what allows you to open your brain to fixing things that are wrong with you. And that's why they say not only that the fool thinks he's a wise man, but the wise man also thinks that he's a fool. The wise man is constantly questioning if what he's doing is right or if he has things to work on. Not out of insecurity, but out of pure wisdom that he knows that he's not perfect and that he never can be. And I think that kind of perfectly highlights what I want to talk about today. It is okay to be uncertain. You'll hear a lot of motivational speakers or a lot of people that are successful or even on their way to becoming successful talk about how in order to become successful, you need to have an unshakable belief that what you're doing will work out. You need to have absolutely zero room for any sort of doubt and no doubt at all in your brain. Everybody that has ever told you that is fucking lying to you. It sounds so obvious when I say it out loud, but I struggled with this for a while. Everyone's human and everyone doubts themselves constantly. That's why the same people that tell you that they had absolutely no doubts they were going to get to where they did end up crying when they actually get there. The only reason they're crying out of happiness and relief is because the entire way along their journey to becoming successful, it was an insane mental battle to get there. So it is okay to have doubt. It's the one thing that keeps us anchored to being the wise man and not being the fool. There is a certain level of doubt that is unhealthy and can actually get in the way of you achieving whatever you want to achieve. But I also think there's a certain level of not having any doubt that is also unhealthy and would block you even more than having doubt would to achieving what you want to achieve or just being the person that you want to be. There have been multiple times in my life where I've had a goal and I've struggled and tried very hard to achieve that goal and have ended up achieving it. I know I talk a lot about content creation on my channel, so I'll use a different example. I'm a second-degree black belt in martial arts. If you watch my Twitch streams, you probably know about that, link in the description. But I started martial arts consistently when I was 12 years old, and it took me turning 18 in order to get my first-degree black belt and to pass that test. I'm somebody that when you meet in person comes off as a lot more confident than I actually am, not because I'm masking insecurity, but because most of the insecurity that I do have within myself, I don't really feel comfortable showing or talking about to random people. And if I'm somebody who appears confident to the average viewer that is able to go out and achieve something, even though I doubted myself almost the entire way through, I think anybody can do it also. I think most of the people that you watching this video look at as people who are extremely confident that seem like they don't doubt themselves, all doubt themselves. If I do, I guarantee you they do as well. I think it's inhuman to not do that. But doubting yourself or not doubting yourself doesn't matter because all of that is literally in your head. It's doing the action even though there's doubt that makes or breaks someone from becoming successful. You know, there were times where I didn't want to wake up in the morning and go train. There were times where I didn't want to sit and do 100 kicks with my right leg and then go do 100 with my left. There were times where I didn't want to stay up till 11 p.m. doing drills in my backyard. In fact, most of the time, I didn't want to do the work that I was doing in order to train for fights, for tournaments, for belt tests to advance in rank. But I knew that I had to do it. And I knew that the long-term goal was more important than the short-term feeling of wanting to just go to bed. And again, I feel like that's pretty obvious to most people that have been on planet Earth for more than like 12 years. But the point is that when I was doing that, I was doubting myself. I was thinking constantly like, I just don't know if this is going to work out. I don't know if I'm going to even be into this in 2 years. I don't know if I'm good enough to win the fight that's coming up. Sometimes I wasn't, sometimes I was, but I went to the fight every single time. You have to stop thinking that in order to become successful, you have to be extremely delusional and have absolutely zero doubts within yourself, and that if you have any doubts, you're never going to make it. This is how I used to think, and as much as creating your own reality and believing in yourself is probably the most important thing you can do for success, you also have to understand that doubting is a natural process of that. And I'm a huge believer in manifestation and the ability to control your own thoughts, control your own mind, control your own reality. I'm a huge believer in being able to brainwash yourself into becoming the person that you want to be to achieve any goal that you want. And even I'm saying that you're going to doubt yourself along the way. It's going to happen. If your goal is to go to college, you're going to have 3 piles of tests, studying, and homework to do, and you're going to sit in doubt if this was really the career path that you wanted to go on. Damn, maybe I should have just followed my dreams, or maybe I should just become a construction worker. Maybe this just really isn't for me, or I don't know if I could pass this test. But as long as you say, well, fuck it, I got to do it anyways, you're going to be okay. I think doubt is the nature of what success is. I think the differentiator between someone who is going to make it and someone who isn't whether or not they feel doubt, but whether or not they're willing to sit through it. Someone who is constantly doubting, constantly having anxiety, but is able to push past it and sit in that and be comfortable, more so than the average person, that's what makes somebody have the essence of somebody that's successful. It's not somebody that is extremely confident or has this unshakable belief in themselves that's unnatural and superhuman. Those people don't fucking exist. I'll be honest, those people do not fucking exist, and if they tell you they exist, they're liars. Everybody's human. The point of no return, though, and the point where it does start to become a problem when you're doubting yourself, is when you're doubting yourself more than you're believing in yourself. The way that belief in yourself inherently works is what you're giving thought to it. The only reason that beliefs are formed is through repetitive thought. If you think something and you think it over and over, it becomes a belief. That belief becomes action, and that action becomes destiny. I'm oversimplifying a much more complex school pie chart that was hung up in my middle school classroom when I was 10 years old, but you get the idea. Your thoughts do shape your reality. I don't think anybody really doubts that if you're really tapped into what manifestation is and you're on this certain side of YouTube. But that doesn't mean the second you have a bad thought, your career is going to be up in flames. I think the point where you need to start getting worried about how much you're doubting yourself is when you're doubting yourself more than you're believing in yourself. I constantly have doubts. Every day I have doubts. But every time I have a doubt, I have a gut feeling that overpowers that doubt. That's like, yeah, I might not make it, but fuck, I gotta make TikToks. You know what I mean? I gotta still spark up the stream button. I gotta do this. And as long as that is overpowering and outweighing your doubt, you're going to be fine. I don't think there's a single person that can't achieve what they want to do. But I think there's a lot of people that don't believe that they can. And the choice that you need to be thinking of the most when you're trying to go be the person you want to be the father you want to be, the brother, the career man you want to be, the successful person you want to be, isn't whether or not you doubt yourself, it's how much. Because the fool never doubts himself and ends up burned. The wise man doubts himself, but uses his wisdom to carry forward, no matter the situation. The only way that you can ever be more knowledgeable in a subject is to question it. And that doesn't go just for questions about science or math or school subjects. That goes for the nature of success itself. The more you question your own success, the more you question your own monetary value, the more solutions you're going to find to answer those questions, which will propel your success further. Curiosity and the search to know is what drives humanity forward in every aspect of any avenue ever. If everybody was certain of everything all of the time, there would be no need for progress, and therefore progress wouldn't be made. It is actually more in your benefit that you do have a little bit of doubt than you have no doubt at all. Because what if you're wrong? What if you're delusional about something and it ends up being that it's an impossible task to accomplish? Well, if you were smart enough when you started, you would have questioned it and found ways around it that were smarter, and maybe you would have been able to succeed had you just had a bit of different knowledge. I had a stepfather about 3 years ago that was in my life. And as unwise as I would say his character was, one of the wisest things he ever told me was this. The smartest thing anybody can say is, I don't know. Because inherently when you say, I don't know, that leaves room for you to find the actual answer. And people that are successful are not people that know everything, but it's people that no matter what will find the answer. This is also shown in a movie that I think all of you should go watch called The Pursuit of Happiness. It's a Will Smith movie, very good movie. And you have the main character who's been struggling in literally every single avenue, just got broken up with, is a single father, has a kid, is homeless, is part of a pyramid scheme he doesn't even know about, is completely broke, just went into jail, and he has a job interview the next day and forgets his shirt. And the one thing that gets him hired from all of these millionaires in white suits that are sitting around him judging him is that he may not be the most knowledgeable or qualified guy in the room, clearly based off of how he showed up to work and his lack of money and his lack of knowledge. But if he doesn't know the answer, what he's going to do is find it. And that movie's based on a true story as well. That guy became extremely successful and made $1 million very, very quickly. Elon Musk isn't extremely rich because he knows everything. Elon Musk is extremely rich because he's so smart enough to where he questions the way that everything works and finds solutions to make pre-existing solutions look completely obsolete. I think weaponized doubt is one of the highest indicators of intelligence, but like I said earlier in the video, when outweighing your self-belief can also be the biggest weapon to yourself. So create the reality you want. Do you want to be the type of person that expects too much from himself and ends up doubting himself more because he tried not to doubt at all? Or are you just going to be human, and even though you doubt, you push forward regardless? Anyways, follow the Twitch.